Now we're turning the spotlight onto Reform UK, which is led by Nigel Farage. The party, which is yet to make an electoral breakthrough in Scotland, is putting up candidates in all 57 of the nation's seats. Helping spread its message is David Kirkwood, Deputy Chairman of Reform UK Scotland, who joined us in the studio. So what's your pitch to voters in Scotland in the election?
Our pitch to voters is basically come and join a party of ordinary people. We do not have professional politicians in Scotland. None of us are. We're a party of people who are fed up, completely fed up to the back teeth with the way the professional politicians have wrecked the country over the past, well, pick a number. It hasn't got any better for the past quarter century at least. So we've all got together, we've got a structure behind us, we're supported from down south, but we've got a very able organiser in Scotland as well. And we're just trying to do what we can to improve the country.
Well, Reform UK was born out of the Brexit Party. Do you think Brexit has been a success in Scotland?
Well, Brexit hasn't really happened yet, has it? We're still shackled to the EU in several ways. We have a small manufacturing business, and to send stuff to Ireland, Northern Ireland, involves going through customs processes. Not as much as there was, but it shouldn't be like that. We're still within the EU, really.
Well, I mean, the Scottish Government would claim that it has happened and it's had a terrible effect in Scotland. They claim that last year they claimed that it's costing Scotland £3 billion a year in public revenue. Yeah,
well, the Scottish Government's facility with public finance may be open to question. I would doubt their figures. And they have a point to prove. They want to drag us back into the EU again.
But they say, we no longer have access to the world's biggest single market, and loss of freedom of movement has meant that there's a labour shortage.
We haven't lost access to that market. That market is still there. There's maybe a few processes to go through to get to it, but we've recently gone from...
It's not as straightforward as it was.
It's not quite as straightforward as it was, but and by the same token, as I said, it's harder to sell into Northern Ireland from here than it was before. And Britain has recently gone from the 7th largest exporter to the 4th largest exporter. Our economies are growing faster than any other EU nation.
Reform UK believes that there's too much immigration, but do you accept that we have a different attitude to immigration in Scotland, perhaps from the rest of the UK?
Well, I think everybody really agrees that 700,000 net every year. 1% of the population is probably a bit high. When the government's last pronouncement on this in 2013 was that they would allow 20,700 people in. Suddenly there's 35 times as many. Now in Scotland we've always been very welcoming for immigrants, particularly asylum seekers, people fleeing danger, and I hope we always will be.
But you would like to see more restrictions?
I think we need to, because the immigration level is not necessarily causing direct problems here, but knock-on problems are showing up.
But we do have big labour shortages in hospitality, social care and the NHS in Scotland. Surely we need more immigration here.
In Britain we sacked 40,000 care workers because they wouldn't take COVID jabs. So that's a bit of an issue there. In hospitality, 10 years ago it was Eastern Europeans that were doing the hospitality jobs. 10 years before that it was Australians and New Zealanders. 10 years before that it was Scots. Things will come around. If jobs pay, people will take them.
Reform UK is also promising big tax cuts. How are you going to pay for that?
Well, the three main sources of revenue for that are stopping paying voluntary interest on the quantitative easing loans. Now that will have some knock-on effects, but we can work that out. Scrapping the net zero contributions, because we have no issue with the climate at all. We think the climate's fine. And the third one is
despite all the evidence from scientists around the world, there is no climate issue.
I'm a scientist. I've been looking at this for 25 years. I haven't seen a problem. I really don't think there's an issue. Our party doesn't.
Do you not think the majority of people think there is a big climate problem?
Sure, the majority of people do. It doesn't mean there is. The reason why most people say there's a climate emergency is because most people say there's a climate emergency, and they know that because they're hearing it on the media, they're reading it in their papers. It's a self-perpetuating delusion.
How would you judge the success of the Reform Party in this election in July?
We're 3.5 years old. In Scotland we've grown from nothing, literally nothing, in that time. If we retained most of our deposits, I would think that would be an absolute triumph. We've got actually a couple of really hotshot candidates who have a real shot at a seat.
Okay. All right, and we will leave it there. But David Kirkwood, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.